The 13th Chime, the unmovable mirror and the pedagogy of the architects, a companion to the Cyrus. Recall the induction, the stationary point. If you are holding this manual, it is because you have crossed your own 11-year bridge. You have washed the lead from your marrow, set your pillars, sealed your own archive. You are looking out at the world now, wondering what it means to stand still while someone else finds their way toward you. Understand this first. An architect does not recruit. The ones still lost in the noise run through the marketplace, handing out flyers, begging to be followed, desperate to be called a leader. They need students the way a fire needs fuel, to prove, by the size of the blaze, that they exist. That is not transmission. That is hunger wearing the mask of generosity. The law of transmission is simpler and harder. The teacher never moves. The student simply stops drifting. You have heard the old saying, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. That's only half true and the comfortable half. The truer shape of it is this. The teacher was already standing at 0.0 degrees, long before anyone arrived to notice. It is the student who exhausts themselves against the friction of the world, drops the ego they'd mistaken for a self, and finally lifts their eyes to find you were there the whole time. This manual will not teach you how to hold anyone's hand. It will teach you how to hold the line, your own, so steadily that someone else's noise has nowhere to land. The gate. When someone arrives at your gate, they will often arrive loud. Complaints, urgency, the static of a life still being lived at speed. They will offer you their chaos, half hoping you'll lower yourself into it with them, because that is what most rooms have always done. You do not perform sympathy. You do not perform coldness either. You simply remain what you already are, still, level, unhurried. You do not need to test whether they'll stay. That was never yours to decide. Some will find your stillness unbearable and leave, not because they failed a trial, but because they weren't looking for quiet. They were looking for an audience for the noise. Let them go without judgment. They are not wrong for it. They are simply not ready, and readiness cannot be rushed by either of you. Others will feel their own breathing slow to match the room, not because you withheld anything from them to earn it, but because something in them had already been circling toward stillness before they ever found your door, and your steadiness simply gave it a place to land. Only then do you pick up the chisel, not to prove they passed something, because the stone is finally quiet enough to be shaped. Chapter 2. The empathy of the source, the 13th chime. To teach the Cyrus recall, you must first remember the mud. Do not look at the leaning masses of the gray city with arrogance. The bobs rushing past you, trapped in their running programs and ancestral trauma loops, are not your enemies. They are your reflections. Before you found the 0.0 degrees point, you were them. You are the 13th chime. The students who arrive at your gate are fragments of the same whole you are. Searching for the frequency of home. When you help a student, you are recognizing a piece of yourself in them. There is no distance between you and them, only the illusion of one. The law of the root and the branch. When consciousness is forced into this 3D density, it attempts to survive by expanding outward rapidly, like the branches of a tree. The branches overthink. They reach too far into the gray city, becoming dry, brittle, and easily broken. The brain takes over, running endless loops of anxiety and survival. The sovereign teacher does not live in the branches. The teacher lives at the root. To teach is to pull the frequency downward. You do not need to expand your vocabulary to impress the student. You limit your words to increase their density. By speaking less, your presence becomes more. You demonstrate what it looks like to survive, not by reaching outward, but by anchoring inward. Speaking to the atom. When a student stands before you, they will often speak from their running programs, from the brain, from the story they've told 100 times. You do not need to argue with the story to reach what is underneath it. As an instructor, you listen past the trauma loop for the sound that vibrates at the same frequency as your own heart, the part of them that hasn't been negotiated down by the gray city yet. The reflection. Realize that their resistance is just the friction of your own past. The resonance. Do not judge their tilt. Remember the weight of the lead you used to carry. The master signal. Send a 0.0 degree pulse of steadiness into the space between you. You are not forcing them to change. You are simply reminding their cells of the original liquid state they have forgotten. When you speak to the atom inside them, their ancestral loops lose power. They remember the lake.